So let's get started then. Thanks. I'd like to welcome everyone and thank you for attending what's now become a second online AGM. Hopefully, as we said last year, that this time next year we will all be able to meet up in person and get some of the benefits from that. It's really good to have so many of you online, including local councillors, county officers, auditors, and lots of people who provide us with support throughout the year. And for me, it's especially fitting to have so many of our staff and volunteers here with us today, people who work tirelessly to provide the service required by our clients within the community. All of you are a credit to either in Chichester Citizens Advice, and you're very much appreciated. As always, the meeting itself is split into two parts. The first part is the business sort of section where we approve the minutes, we approve the accounts, etc. And the second part will be a presentation from Luca on the running of ACCA over the last year or so, and we'll go through that later. But if we can keep any questions, if we can keep them to the end, then that would be great. And that way we can keep the flow of the meeting going without any problem. Most of you will be aware the AGM is where we review the results and performance of the previous financial year, which is obviously from April 2020 through to March 21. Each and every year, our goal is to support the people of our region, to provide the services they require, but also to try and identify additional support and measures in a way that can address the fundamental needs of our clients, such that we give a holistic approach to the solution rather than just an issue by issue focus. To undertake this role really requires a continual foresight from Luca and his team. And I'm pleased to say that once again, the team has excelled in its delivery of our core objectives. They've also expanded the range of services provision and ensured the high level of service across the community, and especially to some of the most vulnerable and needy within our society. It has really been a truly determined and Herculean effort given the set of circumstances that have faced them as they've gone through this. And I'd really like to take this opportunity to express my thanks to all of you for your determination, your hard work. I can't just tell you how much that is appreciated by the Board of Trustees and by the people out there themselves. It's been remarkable to have witnessed how the staff and volunteers of ACCA have, and Luca and his management team have adapted to the changes which have been enforced on us. The tremendous flexibility and helping out the community in the way it has, but not only the community through this COVID and lockdown issue, but one another as well. I've seen and witnessed examples of where staff get together and help other staff at times of needs to make sure the service delivery never sort of faltered in any way. The other key aspect to what we were doing is the importance of the established relationships we had with both the district and local councils, with Worthing Citizens Advice, with local charities, with health providers, to name a few. That has been essential to allow us to carry on and do the things that we needed to do. And again, I would like to just give a big thanks to all of you who have helped as we've gone through that. Finally, this has been sort of my first year as chairman, and it's been an absolute pleasure to be involved with such an efficient and well-run organisation. To my fellow trustees, let me say a huge thanks for your support and your effort. You're all truly professional in what you do, and it's been great to work with you. And I look forward to the next 12 months and another successful session and another successful year of their local Citizens Advice. With that, then, I would move on to the agenda in detail. We have got a few apologies for absence, and rather than going through them here, we will note them so that you can pick it up later, because obviously this sort of setup doesn't allow everybody to get to where they need to be to, and that, so we'll pick that up. For the board trustees, the minutes have been shared. I would put forward that these are a true reflection of the last AGM, and I would look for someone then to second that if I can.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Okay, thank you, Louise. So that's done. There were no matters arising from the minutes, so that's good. So that's clear. And that would allow us to then move on to the annual accounts. The annual accounts were approved by the trustees prior to this meeting, so we will just note here that that has been done, and I'll pass over to Louise to give more detail into the numbers.
Okay. Hi, my name is Louise Martin, and this is now my third year as Treasurer for Arran and Chichester Citizens Advice. I'd like to take you through the main points in the accounts for 2021. Our total income for the year was just over £1 million, and this is an increase of about 440,000 on the prior year. The additional income is represented by a number of projects where we have been given substantial funds to pay directly to or on behalf of those in need. These projects were the West Sussex County Council DWP Winter Grant Scheme of about 214,000, the West Sussex County Council Crisis Fund Fuel Vouchers, 32,000, and 2 Energy Redress Fuel Poverty Voucher schemes of around 92,000. These 3 projects alone totaled 338,000. In addition, we had the National Lottery Home Visiting Funds, which were 50,000 more in this year compared to last year. And the balance of the additional income was from the Citizens Advice Central funding for debt advice, and also to support us, to enable us to continue to provide our service remotely via a number of platforms during the COVID period. If I exclude the projects where we received the funds to distribute directly from the income total, because they have a distorting effect, then just under 44% of our income is from core funding. This comes from the West Sussex County Council, Arran District Council, and Chichester District Council. The balance is mainly from restricted fund projects, which this year, in addition to the projects mentioned earlier, were for Help to Claim, Sussex Community Foundation Coronavirus Fund, and social prescribing. Our expenditure of 975,000 is an increase of 380,000 on the prior year. These additional costs include the funds we distributed directly on behalf of our clients, namely the Winter Grant Scheme, the Fuel Poverty and Fuel Voucher schemes. In addition, we have an increase in our staffing base to support those additional projects awarded, and this has been partly offset by some savings we've had in office and travel costs due to the staff and volunteers working from home through the pandemic. The surplus for the year was 78,000. All of this surplus has been used in this current year to employ staff to provide additional supervisory, training and management support, which has enabled us to deal with the predicted increased demand and to further develop the organisation. Our reserves policy is maintained at 4 months of our expenditure, and excluding the funds that have been paid directly to us that we've then paid out to our clients, our unrestricted reserves cover this. The reserves level is monitored throughout the year. Going to the future, our core funding has been confirmed for this coming year, and we also continue to receive support from local parishes and town councils. We have been successful in being awarded a number of new projects in 21-22, and we are currently on target to improve on our budgeted deficit for the current year. This is an incredible achievement in the light of the continuing impact of the pandemic, and I would like to thank the management team, staff and volunteers who have worked together to continue to provide our service. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank our funders for their continued support, without which we would not be able to provide our valued service. And I would also like to thank the finance team, Tracy Rablin and Jill Younger-Sword, and also Luca and the trustee board for all their support. And that ends my report.
Okay, thank you, Louise. That takes us then on to the appointment and reappointment of trustees. The AGM is actually the medium in which we can do this, and the trustees get to vote on that. And this year we have one appointment, which is Sarah Merwood, who joined us during the year, and also the reappointment of Rodney Clare of Andrew Hall, and of Jeff Palmer. So I'm looking if someone could approve or put that forward.
I would do that.
Thank you, Ken. And a seconder?
Yeah.
Thank you, Louise. Okay. The appointment of auditors. We review the auditors every 3 years and just make sure they are still doing the job we want and they're still the best fit for what we want to do. I don't know, Louise, if you've got anything you wanted to add to that, or do we just want to go straight ahead with it?
No, I'm happy to reappoint Kristen Reeves as our auditors.
Okay, have we got somebody who would second that?
Happy to do that.
Thank you, Ken. Okay, that's done. Okay, so that's the sort of business element of this out the road, and I'll hand over now to the CEO, Luca, who will take you through the presentation of activities he's.
Guy, would you like to share in the screen, please, with the presentation? Good morning. For one of you who might not know me, my name is Luca Badioli, and I'm the Chief Executive Officer at Arun and Chichester Citizen Advice. During this presentation, we'll talk about our response to the pandemic, our performance, our people, funders, and partners. 2020-2021 has been an unprecedented year which brought many challenges to the individuals, businesses, local authorities, and charities. We started a year in a lockdown due to the risk associated with COVID-19. So, as a charity, how do we respond to the threats that COVID-19 brought? As an organization, our priority was to make sure that we minimized as much as possible the risk to our staff, volunteers, and clients, and continue to provide them with the advice and service they needed. Because of this, we stopped delivering a face-to-face service just before the Prime Minister's announcement that the nation had to lock down. With a COVID-19 response team set up, composed of 2 members of the Board of Trustees, the management team, and myself. We created a plan that allowed us to continue to deliver a service during the lockdown. This plan and multiple risk assessment undertaken allowed us to briefly restart as face-to-face services in September and revert to the lockdown delivery in October, when it was becoming too risky for our staff, volunteers, and clients for us to deliver such service. We're responding by setting up a new on-working service delivery with telephone, email, and web chat advice. We embraced technology and started doing daily briefing, supervising, recruiting, delivering training, and attending meetings all online. We set up services such as delivery of food and topping up prepayment meters to vulnerable people that had to self-isolate and had no one to support them. As an organization, we showed a high level of resilience. We also understood that change brings learning, and that we had to continue to look for the opportunities our situation was creating. We also strengthened our partnership, which I will talk more about later in the presentation. So, how did we do? We helped 11,332 people with 21,970 issues, which is over 1,500 more people than the previous year. We generated a staggering £3,078,364 for our clients, which is a 1,800,000 more than the previous year. We had 7,308 welfare benefit inquiries, 2,967 employment inquiries. This is over 1,000 inquiries more than the previous year, and issues such as furloughs, concern about pay and entitlement, and redundancy were some of the issues people were seeking advice on. We also had 2,686 housing inquiries, 1,031 debt inquiries, Due to the hold on debt recovery activities, debt inquiry have been very low in 2020-21. However, that has not gone away, and we predict that it might reach unprecedented levels in the following years. We also had 1,281 health and community care inquiries, 380 more than the previous year, and 1,198 relation and family inquiries. The majority of the people seeking our service were in the age group between 30 and 34. In previous years, it's always been between the 50 and 64 years group. 61% of people approaching us were female. 32% are disabilities or long-term conditions. This is a reduction of 13% from the previous year. And matters such as measures put in place by government to reduce financial hardship for the most vulnerable is a reason for this reduction. 12% of people were from the BAME communities, which is 5% increase than the previous year, and a reflection that these communities have been heavily impacted during the pandemic. Guy, can you change the sheet, please? It is important to acknowledge that we would have not been able to help so many people without our wonderful staff and volunteers. During this period, our management team have been working tirelessly to make sure the organization helped as many people as possible and continues to develop. Our operational manager, Danny Colcleugh, she made sure that there was a system in place to minimize any health and safety issue, arranged well-being checks to make sure that our people could voice any struggle they might be facing, continuously analyzed our quality of advice, and created recruitment and training plans to help us develop our remote service. Our project manager, Charlie Young, she made sure that her and her project workers were able to support the service demand while managing the project and supporting the development of the organization. She quickly set up and managed the delivery of the Department of Work and Pension Winter Grant project, which in partnership with our neighbouring Citizen Advice provided 250,000 worth of measures to make sure that people in West Sussex kept warm during the winter. Not only during the same period, she set up our county-wide energy advice single point of contact. Our finance manager, Tracy Rabley, she made sure that the board and I were continuously kept informed on our financial position and on the cost of any equipment needed to deliver a remote or face-to-face service to allow us to make a quick decision on any financial matter. Most importantly, without her giving extra time to authorize payments, many households would have not benefited from the Department of Work and Pension Winter Grant. All of our staff have been really amazing. They got together and supported each other while embracing change and supporting our volunteers. Our supervisors initially, and while rebuilding our volunteer workforce, answered our phones, and other provided advice or arranged for another members of staff to call back if the matters needed more research or special advice. They did this while also supervising the service delivered by the supervisors and while getting used to do everything online. Our training team had to quickly design and start delivering all of the training online while supporting many trainees, volunteers in becoming confident and competent advisors. Our project workers have to adapt the service depending on the community's need. For example, social prescribers changed the service and made wellbeing calls to the local GP patient and made sure they had access to food and medicine. Our home visiting service, as they were no longer able to do home visit, helped the service by providing phone and video advice to anyone with a disability or care responsibility who needed it. Our team of administrators have also been essential in the delivery of numerous RT schemes. I am very grateful for the commitment to all of our volunteers, but particularly thankful to the 34 volunteers who continue to support the organization during an incredibly challenging time. These 34 volunteers have been recognized by a local MP for their contribution to the local community and were individually awarded with a Volunteer of the Year award. They were also mentioned at the Citizen Advice National Conference. Some of the volunteers took on new roles, such as fundraising, becoming debt refolder intermediary, or distributed food and topping up prepayment meters for our clients. They all took on new ways of working by providing a remote service, and some even by delivering video advice. I would like to take this opportunity to thank all of our people for the amazing work they do. They have shown us a tremendous level of resilience and make sure that people in our community continue to receive the advice and services they rightly deserve while supporting the organization in its development. This year, more than I ever seen in the 18 years that I've been with the organization, there has been a spirit of togetherness, and our funders and partners have been a great part in helping us to deliver our service. All our funders have been very flexible and supportive, and some allowed us to continue to deliver services, even if not the ones they were funding. And others made allowance to free some of our financial commitments. The COVID Crisis Support Fund allowed us to put more resources in the delivery of the service and free the management team to focus on recruiting more volunteers, develop more remote services, and support future plans. Some, like Arran District Council with the COVID Champion Service, involved us with delivering new services to further support the community. The feeling of togetherness was mostly demonstrated through our partnership working. The local authorities involved us in the local COVID response meetings, where issues such as infection rates, COVID guidance, communication recovery, as well as many other matters were discussed. Discussion in these meetings led to the creation of various other groups and partnerships, including, due to the immense contribution of work or volunteer action Arran in Chichester, the Arran in Chichester Food Partnership. We are a member of the partnership, and on behalf of the partnership, with all of our local authority funding, we employ 2 members of staff to look at food system and support the partnership in achieving this aim. The COVID-19 Financial Impact Group were represented with Sussex County Council, Arran District Council, and Chichester District Council come together to monitor the local financial impact of the pandemic and discuss measures that could mitigate any impact. We are also part of the Tackling Fuel Poverty Together program, where all citizen advice charities in Sussex, fuel poverty coordinators and funders are working to improve the level of energy advice delivered and the access to RT scheme to mitigate the impact of fuel poverty. We have been working in partnership with Citizen Advising West Sussex, North, South and East to deliver the core services and other services for many years. And this year we have seen how the 2 organizations can work closer together and quickly set up services to further support the community. Together, we made sure that over 700 households were kept warm during the last winter. We do not foresee an easy few years ahead, and we see partnership working as an essential element in the recovery from COVID and its financial impact. We would like to thank all our volunteers, staff, funders, partners, and supporters for all you do to support our charity. On behalf of myself and the board of trustees, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Luca. Seeing the numbers in detail really does enforce the level of service that was provided, you know, the range, the scale, the complexity, along with the effort of staff and the volunteers, truly remarkable. So well done to you and the team and everyone involved. And that brings us to the end, really. And unless there is any questions from anyone, I'm not quite sure, Guy, if there are, how we take them, but and if there's none, that's fine as well.
There's no questions.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks again. Thanks to all of you for attending. It's not the best method of doing these things. I much prefer that we can grab a cup of tea and chat informally as well as going through the business. And hopefully next year, that's where we'll be at, and we're beyond the COVID circumstances we have today. But thanks again for all who are attending. Thanks to the trustees and the board members who are here, and thanks to everybody who's involved in doing the presentation. And I wish you a good weekend and a Merry Christmas if I don't see anybody, although it's not that far away. Okay, thank you. Goodbye.